President Biden's more than
Dan,
willing to speak out against Georgia, more than willing to speak out against Georgia than China. The president attacking the Georgia election law and praising businesses who are doing something to fight back against it. But when it comes to holding China accountable for all their lies over the pandemic, we hear nothing from Joe Biden.
The best way to deal with this is for Georgia and other states to smarten up. Stop it. Stop it. It's about giving people two votes.
Have you had a chance to ask him if these reports are true that China maybe misled the world at the beginning?
No, I have not had that conversation with President Xi. Thank you.
When it comes to the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, the Biden administration says the U.S. has no plans to boycott. But the number of companies coming out against the Georgia election law is growing. And one of the biggest critics, Coca-Cola, is even an Olympic partner. Delta's CEO condemned the legislation, but the company calls itself the most China-friendly U.S. airline. And Major League Baseball consistently pushes itself into the Chinese market. China experts and president of Population Research Institute, Stephen Mosher, joins us now to discuss. Stephen, thanks a lot for joining us. Really appreciate it. So one of the things that's always irked me about this blatant, disgusting, disturbing hypocrisy is when you look at communist governments like China, you know, racism and discrimination is built into the system. The treatment of the Uyghurs, the Muslim Uyghurs in China, is wretched, disturbing, and disgusting, and yet we've heard almost nothing from the NBA, MLB, Coca-Cola. Been pretty silent on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just sickening the way the world is not paying nearly enough attention to what's going on in China. The China human rights situation, Dan, is the worst that it has been in 40 years. And I say that as someone who back in 1980, I was in the operating room when they were forcibly aborting and sterilizing Chinese women under the one-child policy. Now they're forcibly aborting and sterilizing Uyghur women, Turkish-speaking minority in the far west of China. But it's not just that. I mean, we have in China, we have re-education camps for Christians now, secret camps, where they're told they have no other God than Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party. We have churches being turned into brainwashing centers. They call them civilizational practice sessions for the new era. I mean, that's just another term for brainwashing center. We have forced organ harvesting of the Falun Gong Buddhists, the peaceful Buddhists who don't do anything. They don't want to overturn the government. They don't want to overthrow the Chinese Communist Party. They're being arrested and harvested for their organs. It's kind of like human sacrifice, but instead of just ripping the beating heart out of the chest of someone and offering it to the sun god, you actually sell it on the open market for $125,000. We have the destruction of Tibetan culture. We have the strangulation of Hong Kong's democracy in full view of the world. We have the crushing of dissent of all kinds. I mean, there's no freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of religion, freedom of movement, freedom of anything in China today. It's a high-tech, digital dictatorship. And now, of course, we have the unleashing of the pandemic upon the world. And how in the world the leader of the free world could spend 2 hours on the phone with Xi Jinping and not bring up the fact that millions of people have died and trillions of economic losses have been suffered because of a pandemic that China released upon the world is beyond me.
Yeah. Stephen, one of the things that really has disturbed me about China, it's the world's largest surveillance state right now, but the tactics are emulated by some liberals here in the United States. I read an article in the Wall Street Journal recently. It was talking about how China has figured out now that they can attack American businesses, the entertainment industry, whatever it may be, change your movies, or we're not going to let you into our business market. And what's scary to me is that some American liberals are emulating the exact same tactics as China. It's almost like, the Chinese government couldn't have a better friend than the American left attacking liberty here at home for them.
Yeah, it's astonishing to see the parallels between what's happening in China and what's happening in the United States with high tech. But, China doesn't have an economy. It doesn't really have a market, Dan. What it has is a racket. And the racket is controlled by this terrorist group known as the Chinese Communist Party. And if you want a piece of the action from the Chinese Communist Party, you have to do the bidding of the Chinese Communist Party. And that involves trashing, in some cases, your own country, attacking your own country as racist, sexist, whatever. And that's what China demands as price for having market share in China. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a price far too high to pay. We shouldn't be paying that price.
Yeah, it's disturbing, pathetic. I'm running out of modifiers to describe it, adjectives there. Stephen, thanks a lot for joining us. Really appreciate it.